Hey guys, what's going on? It's Koi here, and I wanted to do something I've been thinking about doing for a long time. I wanted to take a moment, talk to you guys one-on-one by just taking my 10 favorite RPGs. That can be action RPGs, or that can be turn-based RPGs for the Super Nintendo. Super Nintendo obviously is my favorite system of all time. Let me know in the comments what yours is. So we'll start in no particular order, because honestly the order don't matter here. We're going to start with a classic here. This is The Legend of Zelda: A Link to the Past. When I think of my memories with this game, I actually started it off as a rental. I rented this game quite a few times back in 1991, 1992, when the Super Nintendo was available in my community. Grew up in a really small community, so this was a game that was always rented. And whenever you did a rental back in the day, guys, to kind of explain how it worked, you'd go in, you'd pay your, $6 or $7 or whatever it was to rent it for the evening. But the cool thing was that it had other people's save data on it, and it was almost criminal to delete somebody's save data. But one time I decided I wasn't going to delete, I was just going to start from where they started. And I think I was in the Dark World at the beginning, and I'm like, what the hell do I do, right? But I'm like, you know what? This game is so damn cool, I need to get this because the puzzles were amazing, the music was amazing, art style is amazing. Let's face it, this is a legendary game, no joke. Probably one of my favorite for its system, easily. So taking that at first is probably a good start. So that was A Legend of Zelda: A Link to the Past. Coming up next, what do we got? We got Super Mario RPG: A Legend of the Seven Stars. One of the last games to actually pop through the Super Nintendo. This game obviously just had a Switch remake. It's incredible. I've got some videos on the channel here showing this off. But yeah, the idea of taking Mario and actually putting him in a isometric view. This was right around when Super Mario 64 came out, and I can't explain to you. I used to say this game looked better than Super Mario 64, and I still agree with that. I think that is true. This is one of the best RPGs for the Super Nintendo, one of the best RPGs ever made in my opinion. Super simplistic, but with really cool elements like timed attacks and timed defense. Really good music, great character design. Yeah, this is a masterpiece, guys. It's such a good game. I'll lay that one down. Try not to pip. Oh, look what's next. All right, my favorite game of all time, Chrono Trigger. Yes, Chrono Trigger, guys. Original cart. This is my favorite game of all time. What can I say? Best music in a video game ever, in my opinion. It had the awesome active battle system, New Game Plus, so many endings. Great characters. This is one of those games that everybody should play once in their life. It is an absolute masterpiece. Every time I play it, I feel like a kid again. I have a deep relation to Chrono Trigger. If you look back, where do I got it? Let's see if I can pop it off the wall here. I'll show you guys. Ooh, popping it off the wall. Don't worry, guys, I'm coming back. So yeah, look at that. I made that into a 3D diorama. I don't know if you guys can see that really well. But yeah, this is actually was handmade by a guy here locally. He took one of my favorite scenes of the game. That's from the PlayStation or Steam version, which has the cutscenes, of course. But yeah, Chrono Trigger, one of the best games of all time, easily. Let's pop that one down. All right, underrated gem, okay? Secret of Evermore, hot take, one of the best games for the Super Nintendo. The only disadvantage to this game, in my opinion, is that co-op wasn't built in. You should be able to control the dock. There is ROM hacks that allow that, though. And it was really cool. Me and Joy Koi actually played it on the channel. It was really cool to experience that with her. Another annoying feature of it, I know I'm trying to sell the game here a little bit, but the protagonist, the main guy, he's kind of annoying. He's kind of a jerk. Kind of adds to the charm a little bit, but let's face it, he is a bit of a jerk. But this was by far one of the best soundtracks on the Super Nintendo. It took elements of Secret of Mana and kind of made it better and kind of took away in some ways. But yeah, this game is one of the most atmospheric games for the Super Nintendo. It's up there with Super Metroid when it comes to its atmosphere. Underrated gem right here, guys. All right, so we're going to go on to our next one. Oh, look at this. All right, so Mystic Quest. Believe it or not, Final Fantasy game. Yes, it was branded as a Final Fantasy game here. And I will say this. You only get to have 2 people in your party. But the combat in this is so damn cool because you know what? When you damage enemies, it actually shows on screen. Like, they actually change their sprites. It's really neat how that's done, right? Like, it's cool combat. It's a beginner RPG, but the music alone will absolutely blow your mind. One of the coolest soundtracks on the Super Nintendo. Very underrated title here. It deserves to be called a Final Fantasy title, in my opinion. I would call it a Final Fantasy title on training wheels. But I don't mean that as an offense. It gets people into RPGs. Absolutely fantastic game. Next up we have, okay, so Illusion of Gaia, part of the Quintet Enix series. This game was basically postered everywhere when it comes to the Nintendo. Some very controversial things happened in this game. I won't get into it much, but it talks about slavery. It talks about Russian roulette poison stuff. You know, it talks about some pretty profane stuff. And I mean, if you never played the game before, I'm just going to say Hamlet. Hamlet's the real hero of this game. This is an action RPG with incredible set pieces. It takes real world locations, actually incorporates it into this game. It's a really cool story, awesome combat. The only thing that I would say that annoys me in this game would be the island of Mu, or Mew, whatever you want to call it. That section, man, is painful. Let me know, guys, if you've gone through this game and what your least favorite section is. Mine is Mu for sure. Alright, keeping on to the theme, I guess. Terranigma. Terranigma. Okay, so this game was not released here in North America, which is absolute travesty. First time I ever played this game was actually on an emulator, ZSNES, I believe, and I was blown away. Like, what an awesome action RPG. This takes place in the same kind of universe as Illusion of Gaia and Soul Blazer, but this game is one of the best action RPGs easily for the Super Nintendo. I put it up there with the heights of The Legend of Zelda: Link to the Past. Easily. It's so good. Soundtrack's incredible. The use of Mode 7 graphics in the overworld's incredible. This feels like a futuristic title when it comes to the Super Nintendo because it just feels like it really pushed the envelope of what the Super Nintendo could actually do. So yeah, great game. What do we got next? Oh, okay. Secret of Mana 2, or Trials of Mana. So this is a ROM hack translation. I just want to have something physical in the collection here. Yeah, this game's incredible. This takes everything that Secret of Mana did and improves on it. So you can pick your characters at the beginning, they're going to be part of your party. That changes kind of everything that goes on in the order of operations of the story. It's kind of like Octopath Traveler, but it basically came out before Octopath Traveler. Excellent action RPG, incredible music, some of the best sprite work on the system, like screen-filling bosses, guys. Just, this is a game that you should play with a friend, if you can, if you got friends. Hey, if you don't have a friend, I'm your friend. So you know what? Maybe you can play with me one day, who knows? Secret of Mana or Trials of Mana, absolute masterpiece. Alright. Oh. You knew this one was coming. Final Fantasy III, let's face it. This has one of the best villains of all time. Incredible cinematic opening, incredible music, awesome combat, suplexing freaking trains, guys. Come on, man. This is an absolute masterpiece. But the funny thing is, when it first released, this was a very expensive game here in Canada. This was $99. $99 and tax. Insane. My parents were not going to pay for it. So I ended up getting this eventually used because it's the only way we could freaking afford it, man. It was insane. Like, well, what a game. This is easily one of the most complete RPGs of all time. With, like I said, one of the best villains of all time. Definite must play. Definitely one of the best games for Super Nintendo and one of my favorite RPGs of all time. And of course, now finally it is Secret of Mana. Secret of Mana is so damn good. It uses the multi-tap, guys. You can play 3 players. The only thing I would say about this game that I find that is a little bit of a disadvantage is the magic in it actually can lock you in place, so some bosses will absolutely slaughter you and you can't move. And then you got the situation where you can't be in 3-player mode until you get to a certain point in the game. And a certain point in the game is about, I would say, a good hour in. So you need to do that in advance to get your friends to play with you. But man, being able to switch between the characters, all your weapons, your magic, all that stuff, man, with Secret of Mana, what a game this is. I don't know why Square always now takes their RPGs and doesn't implement a more cooperative style in them. This was a pioneer, guys. Sea of Stars just came out a while ago, and it just incorporated co-op into its... I've never played it yet, but it incorporated co-op. So the way it works is in the battles, you can actually control all the characters, it's all 3 players. You can even time the attacks that way. And on the overworld map, you can run around individually with 3 players. Freaking awesome. So I'm definitely going to give Sea of Stars a shot because it's like a mix of Super Mario RPG and then Chrono Trigger as well. So I mean, 2 awesome games, right? So yeah, Secret of Mana, absolute masterpiece. So I couldn't end this video, guys, unless I talked about these 2 gems right here. Okay, so I'm going to start off with Lagoon, where I did a review of this thing. Listen, this is a special game to me. I'm going to explain why here. So this hits differently than every other Super Nintendo game. Lagoon wasn't really made for this system originally. It was actually made for, a PC Engine? One of the friggin', anyways, it doesn't matter. It was made for a Japanese system. And the crazy thing is, that was a much better version. This version here takes all the cool magic attacks you got, you can't use them in boss battles. Like, what were you thinking? The sword attack is literally like taking my finger and going like this. There's something about this game that keeps me coming back. I don't understand it. Like, I don't get it. What is good about Lagoon? Probably nothing. But it starts off with a hard rock soundtrack. Your brother is kind of a douche named Thor, and it just keeps going. And man, the boss battles, if you're under-leveled, they're impossible, guys. A special shout out to the ice boss. I think it's called Thamal, or whatever the hell his name is. He's an absolute douchebag. Anyways, Lagoon, guys. I strongly recommend it as something to play. If you want something a bit different on Super Nintendo. And of course, many of you are like, where the hell is Earthbound? Well, I got Earthbound here, guys. Earthbound is a game that it's quirky humor. It's almost like a British-style humor mixed with an RPG. It's one of those games that is definitive for so many people for the Super Nintendo. I gotta be honest, guys, I don't love it, I like it. And I understand why people would love it. However, the game itself is a bit dry in places. However, the quirkiness and the isometric view and the characters and all that are pretty damn cool. And it is a good, solid RPG. It's just, for me personally, I know this is a hot take, it's not the best RPG on the Super Nintendo. I wouldn't even put it in the top 5. I would not. I'm saying it now, I would not. I appreciate it for what it does, but I would not put it in the top 5, guys. So yeah, that was my little sit down and just pull some friggin' games out and talk about my experiences and what I thought of them. If you disagree with any of this, guys, let me know in the comments. If you're new to the channel, drop a like, consider subscribing for more retro content. We're over 1,100 videos in, including live streams now, guys. It's an incredible amount of work. We've been around now almost 4 years. And yeah, we'd love to have you around on some of our live stream stuff, guys. So yeah, let me know in the comments if you agree with this, disagree, like it, hate it, dislike it, whatever. Doesn't matter to me. You guys have a great day, and we'll see you next time here at Koi Fish Gaming. Bye, guys.